Hi, so today I wanted to share with you the process from beginning to end on how I have purchased an REO or real estate owned, bank owned foreclosed property. And I haven't seen this, but I think this will make it easier so that you can understand. I'm going to try to keep this under 40 minutes and just get cut to the chase. Okay, so this is a property I have done from start to finish. It is a property in, I'm going to give you the address, 2325 Pollock Avenue, Evansville, Indiana, 47714. I did have a partner on this, and initially, um, we were planning to flip the property. Okay, so I'm going to go and show you what to do. I've also been utilizing ChatGPT 5, and it's been awesome. It's well worth paying $20 a month for it. So the first thing to do, I guess, is to find the deal. Okay, where do you go? So I am constantly hunting on Zome.com, auction.com, and hubzu.com. And before I used to just look at bank-owned ones, so now I'm starting to even look at properties that will go to foreclosure, okay? And I put all these properties that I'm interested in on a spreadsheet that I keep, and I even put the date that it will be going to auction. And usually, the county that I'm looking at, it's the third Thursday of the month that it's going to get foreclosed on. So I monitor it, and I do work with my contractors, and I give them a list of properties that they need to go and see if they can get into the properties and see if it's worth it, right? And so I have other videos to show how you drive by and go at night to see if there's any lights on, if there's any cars in the driveway, go speak to the neighbors. And when you pull the history of the property, you can kind of see where it's at, if there's been notice of default, and if the bank has been trying to foreclose on it. Because it can always get canceled, but then get have another date be for the sale. So you kind of monitor those things, okay? But anyways, in Indiana, once people foreclose, they actually move out, okay? So I'm gonna show you a property. Shoot. All right. I'm gonna show you what it looked like when on my searches when I'm evaluating these properties. Sorry guys, here's the photo of. So here's the property. When I was researching it on Zillow, this is the property. Here are the photos, okay? So it's actually the photos of what the house looked like the last time it sold. This number you're going to see, 56,000, is actually what I bought it for, but um, here's photos. So I kind of like want to see what it looks like, right? I forget, and I don't want to open too many things, but here's the house, and you kind of get an idea. The reason I'm looking at this is that I want to see what the floor plan is, um, in case I can't get in the property. So this is photos from the previous owner who was listing the house for sale, and I forgot, I don't know it right now when they sold the property, but this is what the house looks like. So what it looked like then does not look like what it looked like at the time you're gonna buy it, right? So um, the person that bought this property is the previous owner that got foreclosed on. All right, the person just before I'm buying this property. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And I'll show you now what I bought it and how it looked like. Okay, so there's that. So here's the photos of what this house looked like when I bought it. This is part of um, the renovations photos, I guess. They started renovating it. This house in the backyard was like a hoarder's house, and I don't know where, I can't find the photos, but it was filled with so much junk. Um, and I had to wait for the bank to go and trash it out because trash out costs a lot of money. You have to rent a dumpster and, labor to haul it away. So I wasn't sure, but the bank did. So I wanted the bank's expense and they pay for all the trash out. So then at least I got a property that didn't have all the junk in the backyard. This is what my contractors had to remove in order to get started. So I think I bought this in January. It was still snowing. Okay, so this is what the house looks like prior to renovations. So when we ran the numbers, I think this is an FHA, second chance. It's called a CWCOT, which stands for Claims Without Conveyance of Title. And this would be a HUD insured property because the previous owner had an FHA loan. And I'm going to get into it probably in another video to explain how they figure out, um, you know, because they don't always go with the last loan amount, okay, is what I'm seeing now. But I've still been lucky. I've been able to buy the property for what the last FHA or HUD insured loan amount is for. So I determined it to be around $56,000. Um, and the ARV was 140, 150. Okay. And so my guys went and gave me actually I'm jumping ahead of myself. So run the comps. I think they came back and told me it was going to be 40 something thousand to do the rehab. So I always work backwards. I figure out what the ARV will be, and then I multiply it by 80%. And I use 80% is because the lender that will give me a DSCR loan will give me a maximum of 80% cash out refi. So then I take that number and then I subtract it by the purchase price and then also the renovation costs. And if I get lucky, I can include the furniture and you can add in your holding costs. I am just not great with spreadsheets like some people are. I just kind of do it in my head, subtract like 5 grand for holding costs here and, fees, the hard money lender, what they're going to charge you. I just round it out. And so far, it's worked for me. But if you're more of a numbers person, you want to know exactly, you can do that as well. Um, and so that's kind of how I figure out if it's worth buying. So I've been buying these properties at least 50% discounted from what the ARV is. Okay. So that's kind of how I decide if I want to buy it or not. So I told my partner, this is I want to call him a student because he wanted me to help him and walk him through the deal, okay, and how to buy a property because he's never bought it before or bought a bank-owned property. And how did he get his money? So he wasn't going to use a hard money lender. I think he had credit cards and family that he was going to borrow the money for. So he made an offer for cash, 56,000. The bank accepted the offer. Okay. So anyway, this is the photos of the property. Okay, so here, let me see, let me follow my let me get a scope of work. Okay, so the next step is your contractor is going to give you a scope of work. Okay. Basically, that is what the hard money lender asks you what amount of work will be will the property need. Okay, so um let me open this up. Okay, so here's my renovation budget. Mm, sorry guys. I don't know why it doesn't show. Hmm. I hope this shows up right now. Hmm. Okay, here it is. Finally showed. So this is what the hard money lender usually asks you for, and you give this to your contractor and they fill it out for you, okay? I don't do this myself. I ask the contractors to do it. They list all the items and break it down. So it's kind of funny because at the time, we said that this property would cost about 33,000. Okay, it was a lot more than that. I ended up needing a new roof because as soon as they got into working on the property, there was like a big trunk or branch fell on the roof. The roof ended up costing about $8,600. Okay. So if you look here right now, my total construction cost is 33,530. I bought this property for $56,000. Um, 56 plus 33,530. Okay, that's only 89,530. I'm going to say that after everything, we ended up spending like 116,000. Okay, so anyways, as you can see, that number does not work. Um, so, you know, I find this out first before I make the bid. Okay, I don't bid and then go figure out what the scope of work is. You never do that. You always want to get in the property and see it so that you can get this scope of work done. Bank-owned properties, rarely have I found one that actually doesn't need at least $35,000. And where I'm going, these prices are very low. I'm very conservative. I don't want to lose any money. And so far, luckily, I have not. But I play it very conservative. Okay, so this house is a 3 bedroom, 1 bath, 888 square feet. It's still affordable. You can still find these properties in the Midwest. Okay, so and also my strategy is to do midterm rentals and you know, getting rents of 2,300 a month. Okay, so I move ahead. I decide I want to buy it. This house was going to be a flip. Okay, flipping it at $160,000. Okay, so we get the loan, we get a hard money loan. It's during winter. I close it and you know, we get to work. So it also depends on the time of the year that you buy the property. And during winter, they had some severe snow. Like it's never happened in southern Indiana. It doesn't snow there as much as it does in the north. So what would have been 3 weeks for them to renovate, I think ended up being maybe 2 months. And by anyone's standards, that's still very fast. Um, Renovation time. Okay. So, let's see here. So I closed with a hard money lender. They probably charged, oh wait, I'm sorry. No, my partner brought in cash. So when you do cash, you don't need an appraisal and you can even sign with electronic signatures with the escrow company. So it was actually a very fast closing. Okay, so let me show you the photos of what it looks like after it was renovated. Okay, we got a new roof. So I told you initially we were going to sell this, and then I ended up hiring a realtor. And then in the Midwest, they charge 6%. Okay, three for the listing and three for the buyer's agent. I listed it at 160,000. So I actually negotiated with the listing broker because I had another property that I was selling at the time. So he did it for me for five, 5%. So 160,000 times 5% is still $8,000. So here I am listing it at 160,000 at 5%. Commissions would be $8,000. This one had a garage. I used LVP. It needed all new paint. This was a bench that is permanent. Let me think here. Where did I get the furniture? I think we went and bought every item here. So I think it was about $10,000 to furnish this whole house. And I don't buy any of this furniture. I hire my property co-host who does this. He knows where to buy it. I have an appliance guy. First, I started off Facebook Marketplace. If I had more time, if I was living there, but in the end, I don't have time to go and buy items one by one. And my appliance guy somehow he manages to get brand new appliances 60 to 75% discounted retail off of retail prices. And at the first time I bought from him, he didn't know me, he didn't trust me. We had to pay him or my Jason, let's just use Jason as the name. My property co-host, his name is Jason, had to meet them there and pay. But after the first purchase, every time after that, then he trusts me. He let me pay over the phone with a credit card. But my contractors bill me in the scope of work and they include the price of these appliances. So I just pay directly to the contractor. They pay him for the appliances. I don't deal with that. We always use stainless steel. The paint color is Swiss coffee ceiling, and I buy all appliances because this is used as a midterm rental. LVP flooring so that it's just easy to clean and don't have to you know, keep redoing it every time like carpet. Carpet isn't any much more cheap, although, if you're planning to flip a house, you want to put carpet because buyers like carpets in the bedrooms. And sometimes I do this so fast, I totally forget. And we're just so used to doing LVP that I did it as an LVP. Now, what happened with this property was I had it listed and after 2 weeks did not get an offer. And so I dropped the price by $10,000 to see if I can move it faster. And then it dawned on me that I just lost $10,000. Plus, I still had to pay commission. So I said, screw it. It's not enough money, if that makes sense. Because I just bought it, I renovated it, and I wanted to sell it and I would lose right there $18,000, right? So 8,000 was for maybe a little bit less for the commission since I dropped it by 10,000. So I told my partner, I said, never mind, let's just refinance this, okay? And we would get all our money back to cover for the purchase and the remodeling. So that's what I did. I pulled this off the market, refinanced it immediately because I have a lender that the DSCR lender, they charge, it's a bank and they only charge $795 as the lending fee. Then I would have to come up with pay 1 year's worth of homeowners insurance, and then I have to pay the title and escrow, right? And I work with the same title company and escrow that is the company I work for. So they give me a really low fee. So to tell you the truth, the number that was for the refinance cost me $3,100. Those were my closing costs, okay? But I think 1,100 was the insurance that the bank want to pay 1 year's in advance. So it's fees that were going to be paid by me anyways. See, so then the closing cost was not a lot, if that makes sense. Okay, so that was my decision. Now, after I've tried to sell 3 properties, because I didn't hold it for a long time, it's not a lot of money to pull out, you know. Buying and holding always makes you more money, like after 5 years, 10 years, you know, because this also cash flows. So I've decided now that I'm not going to flip anymore at all. So that's not even in my strategy, my exit strategy. It's just going to be buy and hold. And I'll show you in a moment my numbers on this property. Okay, so those are the photos of what the property looks like right now. So I refinanced this in May. Okay, we closed the escrow on the refinance in May. Um, so now, after we refinanced it, I was able to get rent 2350 for this. Okay, so my partner was like, "Oh my God, now I understand why you're buying and holding because we ended up making cash." He took all the money back that he spent for his, buying the property and the renovations and everything. Okay, so I want to show you this chart right here of what we ended up doing. Um, hmm, I use ChatGPT and I want to show you something here. Okay, if I can find it. Oh, it's right here. Okay, so I threw this into ChatGPT. I asked them to give me numbers. Okay, so it says I purchased a bank-owned property for 56,000, renovations cost. Okay, here's the number. I was wrong. So even though I had a scope of work, and the reason you have a scope of work is if you had a hard money lender, they would give you 100% of the rental costs, right? So what you do is you buy the property and then you give them the scope of work. And then when they give you a loan, they add the loan amount for the purchase and then they add the amount of what it costs to renovate. And your new loan amount are those two numbers together. And so when you start renovating, you have to put out of you have to have money on the side to buy the initial materials and labor. And then as you and some of them give you like four draws. Okay. So then you do work, and then the first draw, let's say it's $5,000 or whatever you want it to be. Then you take pictures and you upload it into an app, or sometimes they send out an inspector. So they want to see that you do the work, because they're not going to give you all the money and hope you go do the work, right? It doesn't work that way. So you kind of do some of the work, then you go back and you ask them to reimburse you for the money that you have spent on the work. So you get to do this like four times. And so that's how you get money from a draw and using a hard money lender. But in this case, we did it with cash. Okay. So um, now I'm looking at it. So the renovations cost us $63,109. And I'm actually in escrow right now selling this house, and I did it as a for sale by owner. Okay. So instead of selling it for 160, I'm selling for 155,000 with all the furniture and appliances included. And we have the loan from the bank for $120,000. So I said the current rent I get for it is 2350, and my PITI, which stands for principal, interest, tax, and insurance, is $1,036 a month. What are the important numbers on this deal? Okay, so that's what I started off with. And then I was like, I'm gonna go here real quick, because then it answered me, and then I said, oops, I forgot to add this. And so then I said, oh, this property was 56,000. And after the renovations were done, we refinanced and received 116,000, and we got a new loan for 120. In essence, we got all of our money back that went into the property. Please recalculate my ROI. So here's the numbers again, right? Um, my 56,000 renovations, total initial investments was 119,109. We refinanced and got a new loan amount for $120,000. Um, so basically we got all our money back. However, you know what I didn't put in here? I didn't include the $10,000 for the furniture. Me, I like to get everything and that. I am so greedy, but most people don't even include that. They usually have to put 20% down, and then they pay for the furniture. You eventually get your money back for the furniture over time from the cash flow. Okay. So, sale of the property. I'm going to sell for 155,000. Uh, I made the buyer pay for my closing costs. Okay. So the deal is I'm selling it for 155,000, and buyer pay for all seller closing costs. And I told her it was around $3,100. So then that means we'll probably profit, I guess a little under 40,000 between my partner and I. So our deal was initially he was gonna offer me a split of 60-40, and I take 60. And I don't know, I was being nice, and I said, okay, no, we'll do 50-50 since you're actually listening to me. So I'm partnering with him, showing him how to do this deal. He's going to make 50%, and so will I. Okay. But he brought all the funds to this deal. My value add was I showed him how to do this and still get paid, right? Or get all his money back out. So, if you see this, what ChatGPT generated, it said net investment remaining capital in the deal. It says, since you recouped your original 119,109 investment through refinancing, your net investment in the property now is $0. Effectively, your original funds are back in your pocket, which is true. ROI calculation on sale profit. Gross profit from sale divided by net investment equal 35,000 divided by 0. I have an infinite ROI. Then I forgot to mention, okay, I have rental income cash flow. So here's what you might want to see. Monthly rent is 2350. Now, this is not every single month, right? Because this is a midterm rental. Jason finds me tenants, right? He advertises on multiple websites. My rent is 2350. My mortgage is 1,036. Um, it's, I forgot. So this is what's great about Chat GPT. I keep forgetting stuff, so then I have them add it on. I added, as for the rental income, we pay 12% in management fee on the rental income, and I have to pay for all utilities, which is an average of $400 per month. So please recalculate this for me. So that they calculate it in the expenses. 12% of 2350 is $282. Utilities about another 400, and then here's the mortgage. So total monthly expenses about 1718. Adjusted monthly cash flow. Rent is 2350 minus 1718 expenses. I net about $632 a month on this property because it is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Um, and depending on the time of the year, during the summer, I have to pay for lawn mowing, and that's like $40 times 2. So this can fluctuate, okay? This number here. And during the winter, you don't have to mow. Um, my property co-host is not licensed, so what he does is the people that pay for the stays, I get everything. I get all the money, including the cleaning money. So then when they vacate, my property co-host sends somebody in to clean the property, and then I have to pay them on top of the 12%, the cleaning fee. Okay, so I guess to be more safe, let's say it's anywhere from $400 to $600 a month in cash flow. But what they what ChatGPT calculates is cash on cash return. Since you have no net investment left in the property after refinancing, the cash on cash return is calculated based on the adjusted cash flow. It's an infinite ROI. Now, remember, I did tell you that I spent about 10,000 on the furniture. So this probably isn't exactly right, but probably after, you know, maybe 12 months or something to recoup. Um, but now that I'm selling the house and making about 35,000 minimum, and it's gonna be split amongst me and my partner, we get all our money back. I guess, like I said, I'm not the best at math and calculating this, but if we didn't sell this property and just kept it, over time we would have appreciation, and I can probably refinance because the interest rate on this is 7.99%. I forgot to throw that out there. I'm anticipating rates to go down again in September and October. At the time we're talking, this is August 14, 2025. Okay. Rates have not been lowered for quite some time. So if I can refinance and get it down to 5.5%, 6%, I will, in essence, make more money each month on the income. So, and then you have depreciation and all that. So you add the taxes and stuff like that. I still say this is a great deal on what I'm buying, right? So here's a property financial summary. Um, Purchase price 56,000, renovation cost is 63,000. Because I buy these houses so low, the renovation cost, this one was kind of high, but it appraised for 150 because the appraiser went with what I had it last listed for. Refinance received was 116,000. We got a new loan for 120,000. So we had a few $1,000s in cash right from the refinance, which I split with my partner. So we got immediate cash. And then now it's August, 3 months later. I'm going to sell it because I need some money to go buy other properties. So that's why I'm selling it. Okay, so here, profit from sale 35,000, monthly rent is 2350, mortgage was 1,036, interest rate is a 7.99. I have an ARM fixed for 5 years, amortized over 25 years with no prepayment penalty. So that's why I'm okay to sell this. Management fee 12%, utilities paid by owner, ROI is infinite, cash on cash return infinite. ChatGPT says if you want to create a visual chart graph that shows cash flow, expenses, and profit over time, they did a graph for me. So, kind of like in a nutshell, this is how, or it literally is almost 2 years from the time I started. And so I've gone through a whole cycle. I've sold other ones already and did a quick flip, but this one I can talk a little bit more. I'm getting better. Now I have the lenders that I use are now willing to finance me on the purchase 100%, right? I have a deal right now. I think they're charging me 2 points, okay, for the loan. The property is 155,000. The ARV is like 275. It needs still like 40,000 in rehab. So if you add 155 plus 40, 155 plus 40 times 2 points comes to 3,900, and then I have to pay for, seems like all the attorney fees. These hard money lenders use attorneys to close, so it's like $9.95. You'll notice that it's across the board is $9.95. Some underwriting fee is $5.25, and then I have to pay the appraisal. I chose to pay for an easier one, which charged $599, and then I'm obligated to pay for the closing costs. Usually, you pay for the seller, especially when it's these bank-owned properties. Okay, so there's a little bit more you pay upfront at closing, but I didn't have to put any, I still have to bring in money at the closing, right? So these fees, but I didn't have to put in addition a down payment. See, when I first started, the down payment was 20%, then it went to 15% down, then it was 10%, and the closing costs, right? So it's gotten better for me. So this is why sometimes you want to partner with someone who's done it before, because you don't have to pay as much. So that really is in detail. Okay, I'm gonna have to end this now before this gets shut off, but I will include the description, uh, more information in the description. Okay, thanks.